Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN's Football Strategy Show, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and today I'm just here with Casey Vlad to the Bone Scheinbold.
I know. It's great. It's the first day of the football season. It starts tonight.
I mean, people have been waiting for this for a long time. And football, people they love it beyond any other sport that I can see.
Especially in America, that is, right? But I mean, and the football draft you and I, we did some drafts back in April and May, right after the initial draft. And so we've been waiting for the better part of 4 months to figure out whether or not we were wise or successessl or
now just to clarify that, Casey's talking about dynasty drafts. Those are the ones we do in April. We don't do redrafts in April because we know that there's no point, especially if the draft hasn't happened. But even in dynasty drafts, you wait until the draft has happened. You got to see where people land. That's something we can always talk about is dynasty here. If people are interested in that, we're happy to do that. But of course, today is the actual first game of the season. Albert Mariquin says, good afternoon. Albert, good to see you, my friend. Do let me know if you have questions. Anybody out there, we are here for lineup decisions. We're here for trade discussions. We're here for strategy. Whatever you want to talk about, we're up for it. But let's start with the Thursday game, of course. It's the Eagles at Dallas.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Well, that's the thing. One thing I love about this is I mentioned this last week, but this is not your typical Thursday game. They're not playing 4 days later. So there's not going to be the level of sloppiness here. I think it's going to be electric.
But it's going to be a beatdown. I mean, you're talking about the best offensive line, arguably, in football, and the Eagles going against a team that just traded a generational talent and their best defensive player a week and a half before their first game and got a 30-year-old defensive tackle coming off a down year, and they were already suspect on defense. I think Dallas,
it's going to be a shootout, but it's going to be
42-14.
That's the thing. It'll be a shootout at certain points, and it's going to end up a blowout. I agree with you on that. So let's talk from a fantasy perspective. What do you expect from Saquon Barkley, first of all? I think there's a lot of questions around him coming into the season, even after the great year he had, or maybe especially because of that.
Because of that, he had over 460 touches or something like that. And I was reading some of the statistics about the likelihood of a healthy year after that are pretty slim. Now, Saquon, going back to his Penn State days, I live here in Central PA, so I've been aware and following him from his days in college. He's always been a freak in terms of his genetics and his ability to run through people, run past people, run, around people. He dealt with some injuries early in his Giants career. I do worry about injuries. As for tonight, I could see him having over 100 yards by halftime, and the Eagles having a comfortable enough lead that you see Will Shipley, I think, is his backup. You'll see Will Shipley do a majority. I mean, don't get me wrong, from a fantasy perspective, he's still probably going to put up great numbers, but it's going to be a la Steph Curry 2019 when the Warriors, when he put up 39 points and sit the fourth quarter. I just feel like it's going to be that kind of night for him.
Right. So if he's exploding at the beginning, don't get too excited because we just don't think he's going to be out there that long. But listen, if you've got Saquon Barkley on your roster, you want Dallas in this game. The more they're in it,
sure,
the more explosive he becomes. So let me ask about the other side of the ball in terms of running. We've talked a little bit about the Dallas backfield and how it's very hard to predict what's going to happen. But one of the joys of this part of the season is you finally get to see. You get to see what actually happens. What are you anticipating there, Casey, in terms of the Dallas backfield? Are we going to get any clarity from today in your estimation?
Well, I don't know what clarity we'll get. I mean, Javonte Williams is listed as the number one. I saw his over-under on one of the sports betting sites was set at 40 yards. That's what they're expecting, the experts. So a number one running back who's being thought of that way. They have the kid Jaden Blue, who, if we talk about stashes, is certainly a smart stash. I wouldn't expect much from him this week or in the next couple weeks, but I have a feeling it'll be Javonte Williams, and then Miles Sanders would be the next one to go, two kind of veterans, especially in a game like this. But the game script, I wouldn't expect to get any points from Dallas running backs unless one catches a screen and takes it to the house, because the game script's going to be air it out. It's going to be a Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens kind of day. Keep an eye on Turpin, the slot receiver for them and kick returner. I think he could have a sneaky good game too if you're looking for a quiet DFS play that other people might not use. But I mean, Dak's going to have to throw the ball 50 times today, I have a feeling. And so if it's a shootout, it's great if you have Dak or any of the Dallas pass catchers, but I wouldn't want to touch the Dallas backfield.
Okay, but let's say you are sitting them on your bench. What are you hoping for? Is there a guy you're hoping will emerge there that you think has a realistic shot to be a really good running back value?
I think it would be the rookie. I think it would be Jaden Blue, because Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, we've seen them, right? Miles Sanders came up with the Eagles, then went to the Panthers. He had some bright spots with the Eagles, didn't do much at all with the Panthers, and now he's just veteran placeholder depth chart guy. Javonte Williams, when he came out, I believe he was North Carolina Tar Heel. When he came out to Denver, he was electric that first year in terms of his tackle breaking ability and his yards after contact. But then he got a serious knee injury, and he hasn't looked like he's recovered since. Lost some of his speed, some of his agility and explosiveness, which is a shame because he was so good. He's actually still pretty young, I think. Whereas Jaden Blue is a speedster who can catch the ball, and if he's in open field, can make you miss. I don't think he's ever going to be a between the tackles type of guy,
Sure.
but he has the highest upside. I think the ceiling on him is the one. If you were to pick somebody for long-term value, it would be him.
Well, and this is one of those cases where a lot of times in fantasy football, what you don't know is better than what you do know, because we don't know what to expect from Blue. It could be great. We pretty much know what to expect from a guy like Javonte Williams, certainly Miles Sanders. But I would say this, I'll make a counter argument just to play devil's advocate. I think Javonte Williams, hopefully he's recovered from the knee surgery and has enough explosiveness that being in a very different situation, especially in a culture of winning, which he really has never really been in, as far as I can tell, I think it could make a difference. Sometimes careers get rejuvenated. If I had to bet on one guy in that backfield, it actually would be Javonte Williams. And I'll tell you, Casey, just so you know, that's ironic because I've been betting against this guy for years.
Yeah, and I own him in Dynasty, so I hope you're right. But the irony is, you talk about a winning culture. What team would you rather play for right now, the Dallas Cowboys or the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, isn't that hilarious? Yep.
Denver is now, with Bo Nix, has given them new life, and you have J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey back there, and then you have Sutton and Mims on the outside and Evan Ingram at the tight end. Like, that is now all of a sudden one of those offenses you want to have a piece of and be a part of. So there's he left them at the wrong time.
Yep, that's true. So let's talk quarterbacks. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk about this game first, then we'll switch to the rest of the games. But Jalen Hurts, he threw for under 3,000 yards last year.
He averaged like 190 yards a game.
Right.
That's all, because Saquon Barkley did everything.
Okay. Do you anticipate that's going to keep up?
Well, look, the tush push is still legal.
Right. So, I mean, look, I think we could say Hurts is very likely he's got a floor of what you saw last year, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think. And, go ahead.
Yeah, he still finished, I think, as wide receiver.
QB.
Where did he finish? He finished as quarterback 9 last year. So even only getting 100, imagine a quarterback who doesn't throw for 200 yards a game finishing as a top 10 quarterback. That's what the tush push does for him. This game is not going to be the best indicator of Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have talked about using their passing game more, going more vertical. It's not that he can't do it. And he's got stud wide receivers with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. He didn't have to last year with Saquon Barkley. Like, he just didn't have to, and he was still a top 10 quarterback. They lost some key pieces to that defense from last year to free agency. I don't think their defense has to regress to the mean some, right? They outplayed everybody's expectations for them last year. So if they come back to the mean a little bit, there's going to be more need for QB. And I still would want Jalen Hurts as a QB1 on my team. He might not be in the top 3 you're looking at Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and then maybe Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels. But Jalen Hurts is right there.
He's in the conversation.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to Dak for a second, then we'll move on to the other games. But Ross isn't here, but he's been talking up Dak like crazy.
No, yeah.
Do you agree with him? Do you think Dak is going to have some kind of huge year?
I think he's going to have a very good year. I could see him finishing as a top 10 quarterback because Dallas is their only weapons are their wide receivers, really, and Jake Ferguson.
And the fact that they did get worse on defense actually is a help.
Right. And that's what I mean. And so I just think he might throw more interceptions this year than he ever had because he's going to be trying to force it because they need points. But it also means, he has one of the 2 or 3 best wide receivers in the league on one side in CeeDee Lamb, and the enigma with as much talent as anybody in George Pickens on the other side. And so he could have a special year. I would, if you ask me who I'm starting or sitting for the year between Dak Prescott and somebody maybe like Baker Mayfield, I would have a hard time not picking Dak considering the game script.
I mean, he's gotten injured the last 2 years, and I know that's not necessarily predictive, but as you know, I'm a mind-body specialist. So I start to think about, well, wait a minute. If somebody's not got the right makeup to really get through a season, is it going to continue? So I'm worried. I'm worried that he's, I mean, I hope that he does. I wish the best for all these guys, but
look, but you don't have to draft. I mean, if you're drafting Dak Prescott as your QB1, you're taking him in what, the 8th round, 9th round, something like that?
Yeah, I'd probably take 2 shots at quarterback.
Then you grab a JJ McCarthy or somebody like that. Jared Goff is going late in drafts. Matt Stafford is another one who's similar to Dak Prescott, ironically, not always healthy, but when he can throw the ball, he's
older,
dynamite.
Of course. Yeah. But all right, let's talk about, I'm looking at the quarterback list right now, and I just want you to see if you could pick out one guy who's really going to rise way up the charts. Last year was Bo Nix. It could be Bo Nix again. That's fine. But I want to hear, who do you think is a guy who could really climb the charts and is just going to surprise people this year?
Well, I think it's probably Caleb Williams, if I had to pick. He wasn't terrible last year, but he was a disappointment as the number 1 pick. They got Ben Johnson as the head coach now, the guy who turned Detroit's offense into a juggernaut. They have a similar build there with 2 good wide receivers, a decent movable, pass catching running back, and they drafted a top 10 tight end. And Caleb Williams, he had a down year, and he has to keep continuing to grow, but he was the number 1 pick because he had the talent to be the number 1 pick. It wasn't one of those years where it's, well, I guess we'll take him because there's nobody else to take at number 1. I mean, you look at last year's draft class of quarterbacks alone, you're talking Bo Nix, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. I mean, these are JJ McCarthy. These are all guys who are starting in the league. Michael Penix too, I think, even was a rookie last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're going to get to that in a second.
So I think it would be him, or I even like Cam Ward, to be honest. I think Cam Ward could surprise a lot of people in Tennessee. Again, game script's going to help him because they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, and he's got Calvin Ridley and
so I like Cam Ward more than Caleb Williams, and I'll tell you why. This may be totally irrational, but I can't get around it. It's the Bears. The Bears have not had a good quarterback for so long that I just can't even imagine it. Now, we do have a question about quarterbacks. Dyke Jones says, should I start Bryce Young or Michael Penix? He says it sucks. LOL. So listen, I get that you could see it as sucking, especially if it's a QB1 league. If it's a super flex league, then actually I think you're in good shape with these as your quarterback too. Casey, I've been talking to Bryce Young myself. Yes. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. Ross was talking about Michael Penix a lot. So these are 2 potential hot tickets, but and speaking of the conversation we're having, I think these are guys that could easily rise way up the charts.
Yeah.
I think you're a Michael Penix guy of the 2. Is that right?
I am a Michael Penix guy of the 2, but I don't know. I'm probably a Penix guy of the 2 because I like that he has a legitimate top 10 wide receiver, a legitimate top 3 running back. Darnell Mooney is a sneaky wide receiver, a second wide receiver that people don't talk about nearly enough.
Yep.
And speaking of enigmas, and then you have Kyle Pitts at the tight end. Bryce Young has Tedroa McMillan, who is going to be awesome, but he's a rookie. And our theory on rookie wide receivers, usually it takes the first 4 or 5 weeks for them to get fully aware.
Some of it to me is going to depend with Bryce Young on whether the last 4 games of the season was real or not. Like he looked much better. And I know he's short for a quarterback, so you're just not sure, but go ahead.
Well, he runs more than Penix will, that's for sure. The Panthers are playing the Jaguars, not a great defense. We'll see if Travis Hunter is a good.
And who are the Falcons playing?
The Falcons are playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which could be a shootout, which could be a high scoring.
Is it on the road?
Let me tell you.
No, it's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta against Tampa Bay. And then
see, of the two, I would start Penix. And I love Bryce Young, but he's starting on the road. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. I just think Penix is going to be in a better spot to put up numbers in week 1. And I think you go for it.
And I'm hoping, if this is a 1 quarterback league, that it's a keeper league, because if that's a redraft league and you get stuck with Bryce Young and Michael Penix, I hope your wide receivers and running backs
the thing.
Are like studs.
If you have Bryce Young and Michael Penix as your starting QBs in a 1 QB league, which he does, I'm betting the rest of his team is really, really strong. And the thing is, if one of those pans out, or even both, you're going to be in really good shape.
Well, and if it's a 1 QB league, if there's 12 teams, I would love to know who's on the waiver wire, because you can't imagine there's more than 18 to 20 quarterbacks.
There's got to be people on the wire that are, potentially worth picking
But I
up.
think Penix, look, one of my bold predictions earlier this month earlier in August was that I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to rival with their 3-headed monsters of Bijan and Drake London and Michael Penix. They're going to rival the Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning trio, and the Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, pick Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, pick which one, trio. I think they could just be that dynamic in terms of an offense.
I love the boldness. I don't agree personally. I don't think they're going to get there, but let's see. I mean, if you're right, that's going to be quite a call. Okay, TS is weighing in on Tet or DJ Moore flex PPR week 1. I'm going DJ Moore there. I know that the Bears wide receiver room is really crowded, but I just don't trust rookie receivers, especially not in game 1. What about you, Case?
Man, that's a tough. I would, if I was,
they're pretty close.
I would have them ranked. They would be both in that.
But here's the
QB 3 flex range, within 2 or 3 of each other. Tet is going to be the primary pass catcher.
I like him better.
That's the only thing that I value Tet about. He's huge. He's like 6'5", and he's going to be on that boundary. And he's going to, when Bryce Young needs to get rid of it, he's just going to throw it up. DJ Moore is going to be competing with Rome Odunze, going to be competing with Cole Kmet or Colston Loveland and
but I'm not as worried about
DeAndre Swift.
DJ Moore's going to get his. I think the funny thing is these guys are going to end up being ranked maybe 5 apart from each other the whole season.
At most, yeah.
And yet early in the season, I want DJ Moore. Late in the season, I want Tet.
So Chicago plays Minnesota Monday night in Chicago.
I mean, that's going to be a really interesting test for Caleb Williams. So, like, can he handle that spotlight yet? I mean, he was the number 1 pick, so I think he can. But
Carolina plays Jacksonville, so
I mean, the Carolina-Jacksonville matchup I like actually a lot more. But I think you can go either way. But I think if there's one of the two that's likely to put up low numbers, it's Tet. He's a rookie. You just don't know what's going to happen. And DJ Moore has this much safer floor.
Yeah, I would agree.
Actually, you know what? That's another way to analyze it is look at your team, see who you're playing against. If you're playing against a juggernaut and you need big numbers, maybe you roll the dice on Tet. But if you're favored to win,
you're talking about your flex position. So that means your 1 and 2 or 1, 2, and 3 wide receivers are pretty darn strong if that's who you're looking at for your flex. So
Right.
I would probably go with the safe pick too, which would be, DJ Moore is reliable. You've seen him do it time and time again at this level.
So this is interesting. Dyke Jones is getting back to us, I believe, about which quarterbacks are on the waiver wire. Russell Wilson, Jones,
Daniel Jones, Jared
Goff.
Tua.
Pick up Goff immediately and start him. Like, out of all, and Herbert, Goff or Herbert. I mean, the rest of these guys I could see potentially starting, but Goff would be my guy. I would just snag him and play him. What about you, Case?
Either Goff or Stafford, because they're going to throw the ball a bunch too to Puka and Devontae Adams. So if DK Jones, Geno Smith, Rattler, Ward, Rodgers, slim.
But Goff is not slim.
I don't think Goff is slim.
Goff threw for 4,600 yards, 37 touchdowns last year, and only 12 interceptions. He ranked in our league rankings, which are totally messed up because Ross set them, but Goff is ranked. He's ranked 4th in our league. He's ahead of Josh Allen. Now that's not true in most leagues, but Goff is a top 10 quarterback easily. And
again, I don't disagree with you at all. One of my questions would be, who are his wide receivers? Because if he can stack, if he's got Puka and you stack Stafford, or he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, then it's a no-brainer, right? Like, you're matching up every touchdown they get is 2 touchdowns for your team. That would be the only other thing.
I mean, if you've got bench room, pick up Goff and Stafford.
Yeah, I'd probably,
Yeah.
But you don't want 4 quarterbacks on your roster.
Well, maybe you don't, but like, it's early in the season. You've got to use those roster spots to find
I have
goal.
a feeling his bench is pretty thick. His bench is pretty solid with position players that you don't want to drop to pick up a streaming quarterback. So,
Yep. All right. So TS says Puka and T starting, projected to lose by 8. So
I'd go with DJ Moore.
Projected to lose by 8. So is that projected to lose by 8 with DJ Moore in? That's
I mean, they're within a point of each other in their projection. I think he's projected to lose by 8 with either. I would expect. Here's the thing. I would expect the Bears to be able to put up high numbers in week 1 more than I would expect the Panthers to.
The other thing is DJ Moore sometimes will put up 3 touchdowns in a game. He's got big upside. He really does. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he's got a nice floor, and he's still got a lot of upside, especially at the beginning of the year before those receivers really figure it out. I mean, it's not like Luther Burden's going to be a problem right now.
Not yet. No. I mean, Roma Dunze is the biggest.
Even him, what has he done? What has he done so far?
No, I understand that, but
I'm just saying it to be encouraging from the DJ Moore perspective. Dyke Jones says Penix and Young, but those guys have bad matchups. So my recommendation is Goff all the way. Case, you're not as into that as I am, but Goff is like as safe a quarterback as you can get in that situation, and he's got big upside anyway. The Detroit offense is awesome.
The Detroit offense.
He does not belong on any waiver wires.
Yeah.
None. I mean, unless you're playing like in a 6-team league, 6-team, 1 quarterback league, even in an 8-team league, Goff should be your backup. Okay. Dyke Jones says, thank you. Our pleasure, Dyke. Good luck. Okay. TS says, I was able to get Ollie off waivers as an HN owner. So Ollie is our cover boy today. We all love him. We think, he had a huge year 2 years ago.
Look, he's QB3. Ollie is QB3. I mean, running back 3 on the depth chart going into week 1. He's not. I mean, HN has to get hurt, and then Jalen Wright has to get hurt for Ollie to get significant.
But Jalen Wright's already hurt, isn't he?
I don't think he's on the. He's not even questionable. I don't think for week 1 anymore.
Oh, is that right? I thought he was on IR.
But I could be wrong.
I'll look that up while you're talking.
But regardless, I think Ollie Gordon, because he's the only real physical runner they have, even if HN is getting a bulk of the touches, Ollie could end up being the goal line back.
All right,
regardless.
Jalen Wright is expected to miss time after undergoing surgery.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. There you go.
In late August. So he's doubtful for week 1. I mean, if you just had surgery, I can't imagine you playing. So, I mean, I don't think he's
well,
gonna
isn't
play
like
for 4 weeks.
Najee Harris playing with a glass eye or something now? It seems like so.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, they do some crazy things, but even so, I don't think Jalen Wright is going to be a factor probably all year, but certainly not early. And
Yeah.
I also think
No,
Ollie
Ollie's a
Gordon,
great handcuff. He is the handcuff for Achane, but
I think he
he's a
even could have
stash
he
at this
could have
point.
standalone value. He could have standalone value. I wouldn't be comfortable starting him this week.
Here's I don't like, and I'll just talk to my bias. I don't like Miami this year, almost exclusively across the board. They have a terrible offensive line. And so if you're a big back who relies on running between the tackles, it could be, whereas HN, his value is that you can do swing passes and screens and
There's only two
and jet
guys I like
sweeps.
on the Dolphins.
Jalen Warren.
No.
Not Jalen Warren, Jalen Waddle.
Waddle. No, don't even like Waddle. Not too much. I mean, I don't hate him or anything, but I'm not into the passing offense. I think Tua's just not going to be able to last the season. I don't even think he's that good when he's in.
Yeah.
The two guys I like are Achane, of course, but Ollie Gordon actually is the other. I see the Dolphins having to rely on running. Yeah. All right, we got a question coming in from Christopher Sorrenti. Do I start Krosky Merritt or Jawan Jennings half PPR?
Not even a question. It's Jawan Jennings.
Same thing with me.
He just signed an incentive-based extension, which means
that was surprising to me, but yes.
He's betting on himself. They offered him a multi-year extension. He said no, so he just took an increase based on his play. And Krosky Merritt's the number 3 right now. I think Austin Eckler has the most fantasy value at this moment. Chris Rodriguez is the starter. He's a very similar runner to Krosky Merritt, so it's not even like Krosky Merritt can take some of the play away from him. I don't think Krosky Merritt I don't think he's going to get 2 or 3 points at most if he gets anything this week against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I like him as a stash overall. I like having a piece of the Washington running back committee situation.
But Austin Eckler's the guy you want if you're going to run.
Yeah, especially in week 1. I can't see starting any other. And to me, Jawan Jennings is a very good start, actually.
Yeah, and from what I've heard I shouldn't say heard, what I've read, a lot of the people who've been watching San Francisco have not been impressed with Ricky Pearsall. And so I think Jawan Jennings, even though he held out for parts of camp and all that stuff, he's going to be Brock Purdy's number 1 until Ayuk gets back.
Yep. Okay, we got another question about the Miami running back situation. Could it be like the Gibbs-Monty combo with Detroit in Miami? So I think I'm more in that camp than you are, Casey. I think it is going to be.
Well, similar. I think it's not that I'm not in that camp. I think it could be like Gibbs and Monty, but it's not going to be Gibbs and Monty. Like, don't expect Gibbs and Monty in terms of production, right? Like those two were both top 10 running backs in 1 year. I think HN has the potential to be a top 10 running back. If Ollie finishes inside of the top 30 this year, I think it's a great year for him.
So I don't think they're going to get to Gibbs and Monty status, but that's mostly because of Gibbs. I think HN can be explosive. He's injury prone. So I think Gordon's going to provide Monty value. That's the main thing. I don't think it's going to be Gibbs Monty, but I think Gordon's going to be very much like Monty. I think he might be a little less than that, but I really am quite high on him coming into the year. Okay, BLuz9 says Dynasty. I love Dynasty. PPR league. Do I trade Puka and Krosky Merritt and a second for CeeDee Lamb?
Ooh.
No.
My first inclination is no. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is enough of an upgrade over Puka to give away a good young running back and a second rounder, which can be a valuable pick.
Yeah, I mean, some of it will depend on, where is that second rounder? But to me, it's not worth it anyway, because, I mean, Puka is younger than CeeDee Lamb, right?
A couple of years. Yeah, but Puka's injury prone and CeeDee Lamb has been...
Okay, fair enough.
He missed the last so many weeks of last season, but that was because Dallas was out of it, and I just think CeeDee was like, I'm not going to hurt myself.
But you could argue that Puka's going to have much more value going forward than CeeDee Lamb. It's close enough that I understand this trade discussion for sure, but I would lean on the side of keeping Puka Krosky Merritt in the second instead of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I'm not as big of I'm not buying into the hype of Krosky Merritt like a lot of people are. I know I've enjoyed listening to some of the Chuck Norris themes that have been going along with him, which are hysterical, if you ask me. But it's a big-bodied running back who's a between the tackles, not a pull-away guy. Unless you're Derrick Henry, in this day and age, that doesn't have tremendous fantasy value long term.
You know what's funny is if you said Puka, Krosky Merritt, and a third for CeeDee Lamb, I'd be much more interested.
Or I would just offer Puka and Krosky Merritt
and just leave the pick
and leave the pick. Then I would consider, because I do think CeeDee Lamb's better than Puka. And he's not
agree.
So much older. Because look, CeeDee Lamb still has 6-7 years left in this league at a high level. I will tell you in a second.
Yeah, check on that for me. I mean, the other thing is running backs are a dime a dozen. So I'm not worried about dealing Krosky Merritt. I'm worried about
20. He turned 26 this year, so he's even
still pretty young,
right? And Puka might be 24.
This deal, if it's a back end second, is actually quite tempting.
Yeah, I would either offer a third or a fourth, or try to get rid of the pick entirely. Then I would pull the trigger.
Yeah, or if it's a back end second and you're getting back a back end third or something like that, then I think it's worth it. Really interesting trade discussion. Love the dynasty question. Okay, Christopher Sorrenti says thanks, boys, and great to help you, Christopher. Good luck with that. Juwan Jennings all the way. That's great. Great that you have that option. I want to mention one quarterback that I'm a little worried about. I could just see him going either way. It's Jordan Love. I don't know which way he's going to go.
Last year, you were super high on him. I remember you were talking about him in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. And you're right. He hasn't proven consistency yet. I do think look, if you believe in kind of the mystical of the universe, when Brett Favre was 27, they traded for Reggie White and he immediately won the Super Bowl. When Aaron Rodgers was 27, they traded for Charles Woodson and they immediately won the Super Bowl. Jordan Love is 27 and they trade for Micah Parsons.
Just traded for Micah Parsons, right? That's really, wow. That's really interesting, Casey. So there's like a Packers playbook.
But I mean,
I'm not saying I think he's going to be bad. I'm saying I don't know which way he's going to go.
Right. I mean, Jaden Reed playing the whole year with a Jones fracture in his foot. He needs to talk to you regularly, I think, Dan, to be able to do that, because that's a fracture on the outside of your foot and you're trying to play football as a wide receiver with plants and cuts and explosiveness. That just sounds like a bad recipe.
It's not good.
I think Romeo Doubs is a good wide receiver 3, maybe wide receiver 2. It depends on what Matthew Golden turns into. Tucker Kraft is sneaky as a tight end play this year in fantasy.
I do think Matthew Golden goes way up the rankings because of what's happening with Jaden Reed.
And I think, we all know Josh Jacobs is a really good running back, and he's younger than everybody thinks, but he tends to do one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. And last year was a pretty good year.
Actually, though, if you look at Jacobs, he has done almost all good years. I think he had one very bad year. And I think he had one kind of mid-range year. And then otherwise, he's been a beast.
Yeah.
I think you can rely on him. We got another question coming in. We're going to wrap up in a minute here. Kyle Siebert Audio says, start 2, Shakir, Coleman, Myers, Ollie. I have Josh Allen. So
to me, it's Shakir and Myers. It's not even I wouldn't go anywhere beyond that. Jacoby Myers is the number 1 wide receiver right now.
I agree.
And Geno Smith, we know, loves to throw the ball. Brock Bowers is the number 1 pass catcher there. I know that. But Jacoby Myers, people don't understand how consistent he has been and how good he is out there for them. And they're going to have they're playing in New England, I believe, on Sunday. Yeah,
I mean, the other thing is Geno Smith is just perpetually underrated. He's a solid quarterback. He's going to deliver the ball to Myers. The other thing is we're comparing apples and oranges a little bit. Like Coleman and Ollie are both talents. And
Coleman's the guy if you need Shakir is not going to catch touchdowns. He's going to be your, Wes Welker.
Well, Wes Welker caught touchdowns.
But he was more known for 113 to 150 receptions cutting across the middle from that slot.
Right.
And that's the kind of player that Shakir is. He might get a touchdown here and there. Coleman is the guy who could be your lottery ticket because he could have 4 receptions for 44 yards.
Yeah, so
2
great
touchdowns.
To have him on your bench. But you play Shakir with the Josh Allen stack. That's great. And Jacoby Myers. Okay. Kyle says, thanks for the feedback. And then he adds, I'm projected 51% to 49. It's pretty close between me and my opponent. I think Casey's got it right.
Yeah, you
Shakir
can't
and
go.
Myers are the safer ones
Yeah, you
right now.
can't go Shakir and Coleman with Josh Allen, because if they have a day where James Cook is just running wild, you get nothing, right? Like if Josh Allen has an off day, you get nothing. And so
I also just think, I mean, Shakir and Coleman both, they're not both like, even if Josh Allen has a big day, it's not likely to be both of them. Like, and I just think Coleman's not ready. He's not quite ready yet. I love having him on my bench. I love having Ollie on the bench, but I'd go Shakir and Myers. All right, we're going to wrap up in a second. Casey, anything you'd add for people going into the season? Thoughts to think about at this time of year? How are you thinking about your team? Yes, let's hear it.
It's week 1. Don't overreact to really bad performances or really good performances. Like these projections we talk about these players when we rank them preseason are how they're going to finish after week 18. Right. Not every week he's going to be a number 5 wide receiver, or he's going to be a number 2 running back, or a number 12 quarterback. Like take the first 2 to 3 weeks, go with the guys you drafted to play as your starters, unless there's clear reason to bench your starters, and trust that over time you'll have reliable statistics that then we can make the difficult decisions. But the first week, everybody, my favorite thing is the Tuesday morning, like message boards about fantasy football, and
it's like the entire world.
The performance is like, oh my God, Saquon Barkley's a bust, or like whatever it is, because he had a bad week in week 1, or this team's going to suck because they didn't do well in the first day. So week 1, you can make the playoffs. The point is to have the best team from week 14 on, right? You just want to have a top 6 team, depending on how your league does playoffs, a top 4 or top 6 team from weeks 1 to week 12. As long as you get into the playoffs, that's, you're looking at having the strongest lineup at the end of the season. The beginning of the season, don't overreact. That's
think of it as information gathering, and I agree. Don't overreact. Certainly not in week 1. We got one last question we'll squeeze in here. Whoops, we both put it up there. Start Hampton or Henderson this week? B-Luds 9S. I have my answer, Casey. I'll let you go first.
Wow, that's you got Travion Henderson. I assume we're talking about against Vegas, and then Omari and Hampton. I would probably start Travion Henderson, but I'm not, and I am starting him in a couple leagues I have. I was excited to get him as my second running back, but I don't think they say Najee Harris is going to play, and he's listed as number 1 on the depth chart, but
it's close.
Confident in that. Travion Henderson gives you the more pass catching upside. Drake May is a mobile quarterback, so he might try to get outside of the pocket, extend plays, and that's where the dump offs to Travion Henderson could be the difference. And we've seen Travion Henderson take punts and kick returns for touchdowns already. So
yeah, I mean, I love both guys. And it could be that, that Tuesday morning, everybody's talking about how Omari and Hampton is the greatest player of all time. That could happen. But I would go Travion Henderson for multiple reasons. And one of them is this: Omari and Hampton is in the same division as Kansas City. They're going to be looking at him very, very carefully. And I don't see Vegas doing the same thing with Travion Henderson. So I think there is an edge to Henderson. You can't lose either way in all likelihood. They're gonna both perform well. Yeah. But I just think Henderson is gonna outperform him this week.
Yeah, I think he's the more electric. Omari and Hampton is excellent. He's more of the bell cow back type, whereas Travion Henderson is more of that Jahmyr Gibbs sort of lightning strike type. And I'd rather have that.
If you're looking, especially. And if you're looking for big upside, I think Travion's the way to go right here. All right, Case, it was a great show with you. Thanks for joining me here. Thanks for joining us, guys. Great questions. Do put your comments below. We answer questions after the show as well. Good luck this season. We're going to be here each week. Casey and Ross do a Tuesday waiver wire show. It's also at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Me, Casey, and Ross will be here to discuss strategy, trades, everything else on Thursdays, also 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And Case, it's a pleasure as always.
And just so everybody knows, if you're not aware, Dan and I are both clinical psychologists, so we're here to help you manage your fantasy football anxiety that we all experience all season long. So
yeah, it's amazing how much of it there is. All right. Thanks for that reminder, Case. We will catch you next week. Thanks, guys.